I don't think both sides are interested in any more war. Iran has a propensity of dragging things. It'll drag things. It'll drag things on nuclear, it'll drag things on Strait of Hormuz, it'll drag things on ballistic missiles. US actually wants Iran to yield on nuclear, which is very difficult for Iran to do, considering that Iran thinks of it as the Shia shoulder of Islam in the Middle East, and wants the Strait of Hormuz to be open. There is no agreement on Strait of Hormuz. There is no agreement on nuclear talks. There is no agreement on ballistic missiles. There is no agreement as to how the two sides are going to do ceasefire. The Iranians are calling Pakistanis as flunkies of the Americans. The Americans are simply using them. So I just don't understand. How is this ceasefire going to work? The narrative building, Iranians have done a wonderful job. What you see on ground, the Americans have a very strong upper hand. The Gulf countries are not telling the Americans that, listen, it's about time that you actually wrapped up the war. What they're saying is, see, after US has walked out of the ceasefire talks in Islamabad, President Donald Trump is left with a very tough choice.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all. You're watching Hindustan Times and my name is Aisha Varma. On this segment of Point Blank, as fragile ceasefire talks drag on and a US-led naval blockade confronts Iran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the Iran war remains in a tense phase that is reshaping global energy and security. Let's cross over to HT's executive editor, Mr. Shishir Gupta, who joins us for more. Sir, namaskar. Sir, the second round of ceasefire talks were aborted in Islamabad. Iran does not trust Pakistan at all as an intermediary. The US has 3 aircraft carriers in the region. What is happening, and will the war start again?
See, the way it looks like right now, after the second round of talks were aborted in Islamabad, is that I don't think both sides are interested in any more war, so to speak. Because what has happened is that Iran has been hit very hard, and it's trying to extract maximum out of the US in these talks. Now, as far as Iran is concerned, Iran has a propensity of dragging things. It'll drag things. It'll drag things on nuclear, it'll drag things on Strait of Hormuz, it'll drag things on ballistic missiles. It'll basically drag and try and claim that sort of victory in that. It's another matter that Iran has been really pulverized. Now, come to US. US actually wants Iran to yield on nuclear, which is very difficult for Iran to do, considering that Iran thinks of it as the Shia shoulder of Islam in the Middle East, and wants the Strait of Hormuz to be open. But then Iran wants the Strait of Hormuz to be as a leverage against the US, against the Gulf, in order to create a global energy crisis, so that everybody starts telling the Americans that, it's about time that the war ended. Now, the most important question in all this is, you have declared ceasefire without even having the very basis of ceasefire. Is there any point on which the ceasefire has been done? Normally, what happens is that you have certain points on which agreement is made before the ceasefire is declared, and then you go for the final negotiations. Here, the basic point is missing. There is no agreement on Strait of Hormuz. There is no agreement on nuclear talks. There is no agreement on ballistic missiles. There is no agreement as to how the two sides are going to do ceasefire. It's just my word against yours. And then you have a mediator or a broker who doesn't have any leverage on either of the two. The Iranians are calling Pakistanis as flunkies of the Americans. The Americans are simply using them. So I just don't understand. It's basically war on a slow burner. It can erupt, it can again go down, but definitely it is quite clear that both sides do not want war. And they're trying to work out some solution. The other part is that, Americans can simply walk away by saying, listen, I've declared victory and I'm out of it. Similarly, the Iranians, who have actually been able to, take a lot of pounding from the Americans are still standing. For them, that is the victory. So what you're seeing is everything is up in the air. And there is no clarity as to where the talks will go from here. But one thing is definite, that the war is not going to come back. What is going to remain is instability, global energy crisis, and basically tension in the entire Middle East region. And of course, in the larger world, so to speak, purely because of the ramifications of this war or this ceasefire without any agenda that is currently going on in the West Asia.
So, what are the sticking points in the ceasefire talks? Is there any winner or loser in the war up till now?
See, I'll take the second question first. Winner or loser? Now, the best part is, if you look at the narrative building, Iran is a winner. It's built a narrative. Despite Americans owning virtually every social media platform, it is a winner. Because it's standing up to so-called Saturn America. So it's a winner. So narrative building, Iran is a winner. They have used, the Arab street is with them. There is this larger ummah is with them. So anything that is translating as anti-American goes with them, which is a huge population over there. The Arab street is a huge population over there. So they are with them. Whether it is Shia, Sunni, they are all because he is standing up to America. So, but as far as the war goes, America is a clear-cut winner in this, because what is happening is that America has not only pulverized Iran in every way possible. It has taken down its air force, it's taken down its navy, it's taken down its army on the land. Virtually it's dominating the Strait of Hormuz. It's ensured that 37 tankers, Iranian tankers, have gone back. It's blockaded the Iranian economy. And Iran is soon going to feel the pain on that. So what you see is that the narrative building, Iranians have done a wonderful job. What you see on ground, the Americans have a very strong upper hand, because right now they have 3 aircraft carriers over there and they're blockading the entire Strait of Hormuz. And they are being able to do whatever they want to do. I mean, apart from, once in a while drone attack, or once in a while, kamikaze boat attack from the Iranians. And then you have Israel, which is just keeping quiet and doing whatever it wants to do. So you have 3 players in this game who are all playing 3 different games. But the main thing in this is, by simply dragging and standing up to US, Iran is trying to tell the world, at least the Muslim world, that it has the capability to stand up to the Saturn, that is US and Israel. But on the ground, US is obviously, with its huge armada and its huge military might, is the one which is winning the game.
So while the world is suffering from an energy crisis due to the stalemate of the Strait of Hormuz, what is the stand of the Gulf countries and what do they want?
Say it's a very peculiar situation. And you would have seen recently the Indian Foreign Minister, S. Jaishankar, had gone to UAE. You have seen images of Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval going to Saudi Arabia, then going to UAE. In fact, even now he's in UAE right now, and meeting all people. You would be seeing that these countries have not spoken a word while the ceasefire talks are going on in Islamabad. Now, what is interesting is that the Gulf countries are not telling the Americans that, listen, it's about time that you actually wrapped up the war. What they're saying is, the war has to be decisive. What they're saying is, this cannot go on like this. This instability cannot. You have to do it. You have to have a decisive call with the Iranians. This cannot be allowed to be repeated again. That's what the Gulf countries are saying. That's what Saudi Arabia is saying. Saudi Arabia is saying, if you have started a job, finish it. UAE is saying, if you started a job, finish the job. They are saying that, they cannot allow Iran to hold that nuclear, weapons, or this attack on Strait of Hormuz. I mean, this cannot continue forever. So they are saying that, take a decisive step and do that fast so that there is a minimum of, global energy crisis from there on, and the global instability that actually, there is certain calmness that is brought into that area. Otherwise, it's all going to be really, everything, it's bubbling in Middle East. So they want that to be stopped, and they're telling the Americans, you take a decisive step. Don't blame us for that. You have to take a decisive step. And you have to ensure that Iran follows the international law, both on the Strait of Hormuz as well as on the nuclear thing, because Iran is a signatory to the NPT, and Iran has also declared during its dialogue with the other countries that it will not make a nuclear weapon, it will not enrich uranium, and it is doing something which is contrary to that.
Sir, there have been multiple reports of a Pentagon cover-up of the rising number of US casualties, troop-related, and the rising cost of ammunitions. Now, fuel prices and inflation have hit a high amid the war, especially in the US. What choices does the US president have with midterm elections set to be held in November?
See, after US has walked out of the ceasefire talks in Islamabad, President Donald Trump is left with a very tough choice. He has only one choice, and the choice is that he has to ensure that the freedom of navigation is allowed on the Strait of Hormuz. He has no options but to continue with the blockade to ensure that Iran is hit very hard economically. And he is taking those steps, but there is no other option except that. Till such time freedom of navigation is not allowed in the Strait of Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz is going to be the main focal point of this war. Second thing is the nuclear capability of Iran. Iran has definitely enriched uranium to the levels which are not required for civilian nuclear use for generating power. It has also to take that action because Iran has clearly declared that it will attack Israel and it will attack US. I mean, when you openly say that this is the enemy, then you have to take action on that. So President Donald Trump is not left with soft choices. He has only hard choices to make, and he has already assembled an armada over there to ensure that the blockade continues, to ensure that Iran is hit economically hard. He's already telling both Russia and China not to support Iran. Because if that is the case, then US can also play a game in Taiwan, and US can also play a game in Ukraine. So right now what's happening is that there is a lot of play going on, but as far as President Donald Trump goes, simply he has to hold on to the blockade. Because if he just simply walks out of the blockade by declaring victory, this is not going to go well with either the world or with his own domestic audience, because he has taken a stand that he wants Iran to back down on both Strait of Hormuz as well as on the nuclear issue, and not even talking about the ballistic missiles. So it's very clear, midterm elections or not, President Donald Trump has the tiger by the tail. He has no options. He cannot let go of the tiger. Iran can only sort of stand up to US by doing these ballistic missile attacks or drone attacks or kamikaze boat attacks. But the fact remains is that the ball is in US court right now. The narrative may be with Iran, but it is time that the US takes decisive steps. And the ceasefire talks are simply not working.
Sir, thank you so much for joining us and bringing us much more insight into the latest situation. We'll continue to track the developments as far as the war is concerned. But with that, it's a wrap. Do stay tuned to Hindustan Times.